Hey, it's me, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and welcome back to another episode. And on this episode, I will be discussing the movie room films watched for September 2025, some of the movies I've been watching over the past few weeks. So let's get to it. So I am going to start off with Superman, the new DCU Superman movie, directed by James Gunn. So let's start with this. I really enjoyed, I will say first, I'll start this off with I enjoyed Man of Steel. I thought it was a really great Superman movie. I enjoyed the Batman vs Superman movie as well, especially the second, I think they put like an extended cut. I thought that was phenomenal. And the Justice League, the Snyder Cut, I thought they were all really great movies, if I'm being honest. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Superman guy though as well. I've watched the original movies, but I'm not the biggest Superman fan. So kind of going into that with that in mind with this. I thought it was a good film to start off the DCU. I thought it was a fun movie, very different from Man of Steel. So I don't want to compare it too much now. I think take it on its own merit. Good film though. Decent start to it. I thought the guy playing Superman was really decent. He actually reminded me a lot of Henry Cavill, really, at times. But yeah, I liked him. I think his Clark Kent was actually better as well than Henry Cavill's. I'd probably say that. Again, as I didn't want to compare, I am comparing, but I'll try and veer it away from that. But yeah, I thought it was a good start. I think the characters worked well. I think the castings were all brilliant. Lex Luthor. Casting was good. I think the characters out of the standout was Crypto the dog. I really enjoyed that aspect. Some people might, I probably myself included, I have said it to people. It's kind of like that Grogu, the Baby Yoda sort of thing. I think a lot of films do that now to sell merchandise, but I actually think it worked well in this story, and I thought the character was actually something new for Superman. If you put Crypto in some of the previous Superman movies, it maybe might not work as well. But I think it worked really good in this movie. I really enjoyed that character and the interaction with Superman, this dog, this super-powered dog. I really like that. But yeah, I like the tone of the movie. I thought I think it was. I think it worked. It was a James Gunn movie. The tone worked. It's similar feel to like a Guardians of the Galaxy. I just didn't think it was like a spectacular film. I think it was, it was a fun superhero movie. It wasn't anything spectacular. I'd be like talking about this for years. Like a Dark Knight, where I'm like, wow, that's stunning. I think in the superhero genre overall, it's hard to get them movies nowadays because some of them just feel very samey. Like the same sort of thing. You kind of feel, and to me, it didn't feel like an underwhelming movie. It just felt like it was just like a decent superhero movie. But I think what, maybe that's what they needed for the DC. Just kind of like start not too high expectations and do a slow build with it. Slow build this DCU thing, try new things and stuff. I will say, I think there was a lot of characters in there, a lot of different characters, but I don't think it. I think my initial thinking was it was too much characters, but looking back now, I think it worked well even with the multiple characters, and I get what they're trying to set up, this multiple character universe. But I think it was a good start for this DCU. I think it was a good start. Like I said, not a spectacular movie. I can appreciate the casting. I can appreciate they're doing something different with incorporating the dog in there. Lex Luthor, having these, a lot of more. What can I say? His power to what he can do in the movie, the things he's creating in this movie, it's a different direction with Lex Luthor as well, I found. And, they've already announced a sequel, Man of Tomorrow, which is meant to be a team up of Superman and Lex Luthor. Mr. Luthor! Taking on, I believe they're on about maybe Brainiac or something like that, maybe. Again, I'm not really super knowledgeable of them characters, if I'm being 100% honest. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see more of this universe. I'm actually interested to see Supergirl now, and I'm looking forward to. I've not caught Peacemaker season 2, but I'm going to start catching up with that. I want to watch the first season again to refresh on that, and then watch that because apparently that's meant to lead into the next Superman movie. So intrigued. excited to, well, wouldn't say excited, but I'm intrigued to see more from the DCU. I think it's going in a direction. I think what I like about it now at this moment in time, anyway, with James Gunn at the helm, I think they've got a direction. They know where they are going at this moment in time, which is good to have that vision. Marvel has that vision. Fair enough, sometimes it's dipped, but they've always had that Kevin Feige sort of vision of where they want to go, which is always a wise move with movies. Next up, I want to discuss a movie called Soldier, 1998 movie. I've got it here, the DVD of this movie. This is a movie I've watched before, many years, Kurt Russell movie. I decided to rewatch it over the past couple of weeks because of my buddy Ben, aka Rider Rated 18. He mentioned this podcast. It was called the Hey You Guys podcast. Podcast he recommended. He said, check out this podcast. It's a really decent listen. And they were mentioning the movie Soldier on it. So shout out to them. I will link in Ben, Rider Rated 18, and Hey You Guys podcast links below. Do check them out. Great podcast, by the way. Really enjoyed it. I watched this movie first of all to kind of go into, because I hadn't watched it in a couple of years. Watched it, listened to the guys' podcast. I think it's two guys, I believe. And it was a really great listen. The stuff they were talking about, the interesting facts about this movie, like that Kurt Russell had an injury, so he was sitting down for certain parts of the movie. So I think he broke his ankle or he broke his leg or something like that. But yeah, it's a great movie anyway. I really enjoyed it. So this is, I knew for years that it was meant to be set inside the Blade Runner universe, kind of like a hidden sort of thing. It's not officially, but it's unofficially set in the Blade Runner universe, because I believe it was one of the screenwriters from Blade Runner. He wrote the screenplay for this, I think. I believe I'm correct on that one. But yeah, it's a really, do you know what? It's a good sci-fi action movie, this. Kurt Russell plays this soldier. These are these elite soldiers on this planet. And they bring in these new generation soldiers, all these bald heads, they're all beefy dudes, super fast, super muscly, and him and all the older soldiers then kind of get put out to pasture. They think he's dead, put him on this strange planet. He finds these villagers who take him in, and then he has to, at some point in the story, protect them from a threat. And it's a decent movie. I think it really did. I don't think it really did that well domestically. This movie, I don't even think it had a UK release. I'm pretty sure. I think it was just straight to DVD here in the UK. It's a shame though, because it's a decent. I think it's a bit of a hidden gem of a Kurt Russell movie, hidden gem of a science fiction movie as well. Not one of the best movies ever, but it is. I think it's a decent sci-fi action. If you're into sci-fi action, Soldier is well worth a shot, definitely. What else have I been watching? So I watched this. This is a watch I've seen before, but Saving Mr. Banks, 2013 movie starring Tom Hanks as Walt Disney, Emma Thompson as P.L. Travers, the creator of Mary Poppins, the book, and Colin Farrell as her father, as the young version of her. He plays the father. And so it's an origin story, a telling of, it's a biopic story, telling the story of Walt Disney trying to get the rights to the Mary Poppins book to make the Mary Poppins movie. And it's a true story. I think it's really great. And look, I like Mary Poppins, but I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of Mary Poppins. It's not one of my go-to films. But this movie, I can really appreciate Mary Poppins a lot more, and it really is a really enjoyable watch. This I like a good biopic, and this is a solid biopic. Tom Hanks is great as Walt Disney. This character, this fun-loving character who's trying to get this really stern character of Travers, Mr. Travers, who wrote Mary Poppins. She doesn't want to give away her baby of Mary Poppins, the character, the book, because she's worried that he's gonna, make it Disney-fied it, do all songs and dancing and animations, which it all kinds of comes to be within the movie anyway. But it's a really good story. You see them, putting the music together, going through the, writing the screenplay for it. It's a very interesting movie, and I think it's a really touching, very human story. I really liked it. I would really recommend this one if you've never seen it. It's a solid. It's hard to really well, it's hard to pinpoint a Tom Hanks movie that was really underwhelming. This is another good one. This one, really enjoyed it. Colin Farrell as well as her father in these flashback scenes. It's a really, really, without spoiling, a very heartbreaking story at times. Watching it and seeing her origin, her younger years as well. Um, so it's a very good movie, very good story, very good storytelling, good story arc as well. I feel like it tells the younger years of this character, of the writer, and then shows the years of her going to Disney, him trying to persuade her to sell the rights to the book. Superb film. Next up, I watched Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Came out in 2023. This is the last, probably the final outing for Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford returning to the role. Didn't know what to expect going into this movie, and I really enjoyed the Crystal Skull. I didn't think it was a bad movie. I remember I've done I think I did a podcast episode on Crystal Skull, the fourth movie, and think I actually still to this day I don't mind that movie. I still think the perfect ending was The Last Crusade. It would have been perfect to end there, but they've done two more. Fair enough. I thought it was a good final outing. I think it was a decent movie. Good. It worked well. The CGI on the de-aging at the beginning of the movie was a bit off-putting, a bit jarring. Watching it, because it looked very video gamey. It really did look for they basically de-age him. They show like flashbacks of him like in his like basically from the first couple of movies, basically around that sort of time period. De-aged him, and it really does look a bit jarring. Some scenes look okay. I think some parts look better than others, but when it's like the close-ups, it reminds me of Rogue One with Grand Moff Tarkin, where it looks like a video game, and you can see it's not quite there yet. And I think they relied on it too much. I think if they just went less with the de-aging, less scenes of him talking and close-up shots, it wouldn't have been as bad. But I wouldn't say it spoils the movie for me, because it's only really at the beginning of the movie, that part, and after that, it's not too bad. It's a decent movie. I like the story. They kind of go to a different, take the story of Indiana Jones to a different in a different direction, with that sort of like time travel element. I suppose I won't spoil too much for this, but I suppose that is an element that is teased in the trailers, and it's an element that is used in the story somewhat. But I wouldn't say it's a time travel movie. This movie, I wouldn't say so anyway. But it's a good movie. I like the outing. I like the finish to it. I feel like for me that is it now. And it's nothing about age of Harrison Ford. I think he can still portray that role. I think it's kind of quite nice to see that character in an older, as an older gentleman in his later years, seeing where he's up to. I don't think it's anything about age. I think it's just more about the story now. I think they've kind of done everything they can do with that franchise, and I feel like that's it. I think we're kind of done there, and I don't think it did that well at the box office. This movie, I'm pretty sure it didn't do as well as they probably imagined. Probably due, it's a big budget movie as well. But yeah, well worth it. I think if you like the movies, Indiana Jones, give it a shot. I think so. Next up, I watched. It was another recommendation. This was recommended to me by Scott, the movie critic, and it is Predator: Killer of Killers. This is the animated movie that came out this year. So Scott recommended this movie to me. He said that he watched it, really enjoyed it, and I like animated movies. I thought, let's give it a go. Superb film, really superb film in the franchise, in the Predator franchise, Predator Prey franchise. And what I will say, and I think I did mention this to Scott, at first like 10-15 minutes in, I wasn't keen on the animation. It's certain it's got a very distinct visual style with the animation. I don't know how to describe it. If you watch it, maybe you'll understand what I'm saying. Kind of looked a bit like slowed down. It was like the pacing of it, like the animation style felt very slow paced, like lagging a bit. But after the 15 minutes I got into it, and the animation style, I didn't even think about it then. It was great though. It really, and after I got kind of past that 15 minutes, I really, even the animation I enjoyed. I think it is a really solid animated movie and a great movie in that franchise. And I believe it's done by the guy who directed Prey. He directed this as well, and he's directing the new Predator Badlands movie as well. So it's a trilogy of movies. Really great the way, again, not spoilers, but they link Predator 1, Predator 2, and Prey. They kind of put a bit of a link in there to this movie, which is very, very clever. I love the direction this movie went in because I didn't expect. Basically, it's three different stories. You've got a shinobi, you've got a Viking, and then you've got like a World War. I think it's a World War One or World War Two pilot, and they're basically three different stories, all told separately, and then they join the stories up, and then you get this really interesting. I think the final third of the movie is very interesting. What they do with it, the direction of it. I really think it could be very interesting moving forward with the rest of the Predator movies, which way, if they use some of this style or if they do another animated movie, maybe. I love what they've done with it. Yeah, very, very interesting movie. Very, very well worth the watch if you've. I checked out on Disney Plus this one. Definitely worth watching, guys. Finally, I want to get to one final movie, and it is a movie picked up on 4K, and it is Almost Famous. 2000 movie. Starring who we got in a big cast: Kate Hudson, Jason Lee, Billy Crudup, Frances McDormand. Great cast. I won loads of Academy Awards for like best musical movie. It's a coming of age story of this young kid, 15-year-old, who is an aspiring rock journalist, and he follows this band around, this up and coming band. And he's writing an article for the Rolling Stone magazine on them. And it's, this young kid, 15-year-old, coming of age story, following this rock band around, and this gang of groupies led by Kate Hudson's character, Penny Lane. And I watched this growing up, and for years I couldn't remember the movie. I couldn't remember what it was called. It's kind of like a memory. You get you can remember something like a video game or a movie, and you couldn't remember it. And then years later I found out it was called Almost Famous. And I watched it a few years back again, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, you know what, this is one I'm going to have to eventually pick up because I really see it on streaming services anyway. And I thought, you know what, I really like this movie. I think it's a good watch. I want to pick it up at some point. It's got some great songs throughout from actual real artists in the. I think Elton John is in the mixed. There's tons of different tracks. Cat Stevens, tons of different really good songs in there. But it's a great story. This is... why did I buy the 4K though, guys? I could have went for the Blu-ray, sure. The Blu-ray I was looking at, it was... I think it's out of print anyway. So, looking at £5-7. I got this used for a tenner, basically. I think it was under a tenner, actually. I got this for a reason, though, because it has two cuts. So it's got the theatrical cut is on the Blu-ray disc, but you get on the 4K the bootleg cut of the film, which is about 30 or 40 minutes extra footage. And I couldn't remember what cut I'd watched previously. And after watching this, I'm not quite sure which one I watched, but I will say it was very enjoyable. It was a long movie, but I didn't feel like it was too long, and it didn't feel like it dragged. It felt like it worked well for the movie, the cut of the movie. The story flowed. It was good pacing. I really enjoyed it. Great movie. Again, this story of this young kid, but then you've got this band who are kind of like fighting as well. There's politics going on within the band, and you're seeing the lives of the rock stars as well on the road. I think it's a solid movie. Almost Famous really is one I think it's one I'll watch yearly now. I feel like it's one of them movies that I will happily watch yearly and really enjoy it because it's a great movie. I'm so happy to get it on 4K as well. Like I said, it was more because of the cut, and I'm sure you probably could get the cut maybe on the DVD or Blu-ray, but for the price, it worked around the same price as the Blu-ray. I got both the Blu-ray and the 4K included there. So I might even check out the other cut at some point just to see what that is like, if it's just as good as the bootleg cut. But yeah, well worth checking out. Let me know as well if you've seen the bootleg cut and the theatrical cut on that one. Let me know which one you prefer as well, guys. So that's what I've been watching. So let's just do a final roundup. I think, bottom line is, some of my favourites here, I've got to say, Predator, Killer of Killers, that was a solid movie. Great, I love the animation, fantastic film, great recommendation by Scott. Thank you very much, buddy. I think as well, Soldier, revisiting that was great, and listening to that podcast, of the Hey You Guys podcast, recommended by Ben over at Rider Rated 18. Super, really appreciate it, mate. And yeah, I think getting Almost Famous on 4K, watching this blue, it looked amazing. I will say the 4K looked stunning, sounded great, visually, great looking movie. I think it was all. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere it was all shot on film. Maybe wrong, but I'm sure I read that. But superb looking movie, great story, and I'm really happy to get this cut so I can actually compare it with the two different cuts as well, which is nice to get on the 4K and the Blu-ray disc. So really pleased with all of those. So that is it for another episode, ladies and gents. Let me know what you think of these movies. These movies I've been watching over the past couple of weeks for this, in the movie room as well. These are all watched in the movie room, sitting down, chilling out. You know me, I like a movie room film watch. Always enjoy it. But let me know if you watched some of these films recently. Maybe you've never seen them. You're thinking about checking them out. Maybe some of these you don't like. Let me know. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.